A 20-year-old girl disappeared in the night. 6 hours later, her body was found deep in the forest. But the most heartbreaking thing is, the little girl still calls her mother every night.
The night meant a lot to us. She was my baby, but she also was everybody's baby too. She was the life of the party. She was very fun, outgoing. You can always call her and she'll be there for you.
Lania Dawson's mother choked up when talking about her daughter. A young girl, a single mother, happy, outgoing, always there when you needed her. And that day she disappeared forever. Lania Dawson, 20, of Evanston, Cincinnati, is the kind of person you remember the first time you meet her. Warm, outgoing, and always full of positive energy. She's always there for her friends, family, or anyone who needs a listening ear. Her heart is all in one person, her 1-year-old daughter. A single mother, Lania has never complained. She takes care of her child while pursuing her passion for music. Social media is where she shares her rap's simple but honest lyrics about her journey to motherhood, her unfulfilled dreams, and her belief that everything will be okay. Although life hasn't been easy, she's never stopped trying. "I can take care of myself. I don't need anyone to protect me," she wrote in a status she posted not long ago. Those close to her say she's always been strong but also very emotional, never turning down a call for help, never missing important family occasions. In December 2024, Cincinnati entered a cold winter. It got dark quickly. The air was drier and quieter than usual. In the small apartment in Evanston, Lania still talked to her mother, sent pictures of her daughter, told her about the dinner she was planning to cook. Everything was quiet, normal, like any other day. No one knew that sometimes normal things were the calm before a big storm, and no one expected that everything was about to change. December 7, 2024, started like any other day in the life of Lania Dawson, a 20-year-old girl living in the quiet residential area of Evanston, Cincinnati. She woke up early in the morning with her daughter, a 1-year-old girl who was just starting to say her first words. As usual, she sent her mother a few cute pictures of her child's small moments, but full of love. The messages between mother and daughter were still gentle and cheerful. There was no sign of anything unusual. Lania's social media accounts also showed a peaceful morning. She posted a photo of her daughter playing with toys on the living room floor. The smile on her little face was a message of hope and the future. Below, a few friends left comments wishing the mother and daughter a good day. Lania liked it as usual. The afternoon passed peacefully. According to text messages provided to police by her family, around 3 p.m., Lania was still chatting with her mother, discussing what to make for dinner that weekend. The conversation ended with a simple, "I'm cleaning up a little bit and I'll call you back." But since then, no one has heard from her. On December 7, 2024, around 6 p.m., Lania's phone went silent. No texts, no calls, no social media posts, unusual for a girl who maintained daily contact with friends and family. At first, her family thought she was busy or resting, but as the night wore on, concerns grew. At the same time, west of Cincinnati, Mount Airy Forest, the city's largest park, was nearly deserted due to the cold and darkness of winter. Trail Ridge Road, a small road deep in the woods, has long been closed to vehicles, leaving only a footpath. It was here that at 12:28 a.m., on December 8, a passerby suddenly noticed something unusual. They immediately called the police. In the early morning hours of December 8, 2024, Cincinnati, Ohio, was as quiet as ever. A winter wind blew through the trees of Mount Airy Forest, a popular spot for hikers and nature lovers. But at the time, the area was largely deserted. It was late, the temperature had dropped, and darkness blanketed the winding trails, a scene both peaceful and foreboding. On a small offshoot of Trail Ridge Road deep within the park, a local resident was surprised to see something unusual while passing through the area. The person, whose identity has not been released, immediately called police. The report of an unresponsive person was received at 12:28 a.m., according to the Cincinnati Police Department. A rapid response unit was dispatched to the scene shortly after receiving the information. The authorities arrived shortly, with full support equipment and immediately cordoned off the reported area. Trail Ridge Road is a closed road for motor vehicles and pedestrians only. Its isolated location and lack of surveillance cameras make it difficult to access and less noticeable at night. However, this is the location where the police discovered a young woman lying motionless, unresponsive to initial checks. After conducting identification procedures, the police found the victim's identification in the area of the scene. The identity was determined to be Lania Dawson, born in 2004, a resident of Evanston, Cincinnati. She was 20 years old at the time and the mother of a 1-year-old girl. Lania is a familiar name in the neighborhood where she lives. No criminal record, no criminal history, and according to relatives, no disputes or suspicious relationships. Her appearance in a remote area in the middle of the night immediately raised many questions for investigators. From the moment her identity was verified, the case was officially transferred to a specialized investigation unit to clarify the cause and related details. The scene was kept intact during the initial data collection process, with the presence of technical experts, support staff, and forensic representatives. At the same time, another part of the investigation force contacted the victim's family to confirm information and inform them of the situation. The bad news came before dawn. Lania's family, according to local media, were completely surprised and could not explain why she was there at that time. At the scene, the quiet atmosphere was replaced by a cautious urgency. Every move, every action was carefully recorded to serve the investigation. No detail was overlooked because everyone understood. What was left at this place could be the key to unlocking the whole truth. And from that moment, the name Lania Dawson officially entered the file of a case that, until now, almost a year later, still has no final answer. On the night of December 8, 2024, after confirming the victim's identity as Lania Dawson, technical units quickly moved in to record all relevant data. Every movement and every object that appeared on Trail Ridge Road was processed according to specialized procedures. This area, deep in Mount Airy Forest Park, has no street lights, no cameras, and almost no civilian activity at the time of discovery. Initial records at the scene showed no signs of the body moving after the incident. The road surface was dry, and no signs of dragging or disturbance of the surrounding soil were detected. This indicated that the victim most likely died at the scene and was not moved from another location. Within the vicinity of where Lania was discovered, authorities collected 8 9mm shell casings scattered around the area. This is one of the first important details that helps the authorities orient their initial approach to the case. It is also worth noting that there were no signs of missing personal property. Items such as phones, personal documents, and some small items were still found at the scene. This caused the possibility of a robbery to be ruled out very early in the process of examining the situation. The forensic agency then conducted initial checks at the scene before transferring the body for a more detailed autopsy. According to reports from local sources, the body showed no signs of resistance, and no scratches or mechanical injuries were found on the hands or body. Combined with the surrounding details, this opens up the hypothesis that the victim may have known or trusted the person who appeared with him that evening. The head was the most severely injured area, clearly identified in the description of the investigators. Although detailed medical findings have not been released, the facts at the scene were enough for authorities to move the case into a major investigation, with the initial assumption being that it was a premeditated act. After completing the scene and recovering the body for autopsy in the early morning hours of December 8, 2024, the case involving Lania Dawson was officially transferred to the Cincinnati Police Department's Homicide Unit. At that time, there was no clear picture of what led to the 20-year-old's death. However, investigators knew that to find the truth, they needed to start with what was closest to the victim: her daily life, relationships, and personal habits. The initial focus of the investigation was on Lania's schedule on December 7, especially the final hours before the incident. Her phone was extracted to trace calls, texts, GPS location, and app activity in the 24 hours before police were called to the scene. Initial results showed that the young girl had a completely normal day. In the morning, she sent her mother a photo of her daughter, chatted a few sentences about the meal, and ended with an appointment to call back later. From around 6 p.m., the phone no longer recorded any significant activity. This coincided with the relatives' account that she stopped communicating in the evening, which they felt was very unusual. According to the victim's mother, Lanier rarely went out at night and never left her child at home without telling anyone in the family. With not much information from the phone, the police began to expand the scope of the investigation. They sought out friends, acquaintances, neighbors, and even people who had collaborated with Lanier in community music activities. As an amateur rapper, she had shared some short videos on social networks and had participated in several small local music events. Although she had not yet achieved widespread fame, she was considered to have potential and was loved by many people. But like any creative community, the local music scene is not without its share of petty feuds, hidden rivalries, and the occasional personal misunderstanding. Police have narrowed down a number of individuals who have appeared in Lanier's social media posts over the past few months. Some are collaborators, while others are close friends or have been romantically linked to her. But sorting through the relationships isn't easy. Many of the people in photos or chats have had brief interactions that aren't deep enough to warrant a thorough evaluation. Some have a longer history of connections, but have recently lost touch. The process of verifying information has become a painstaking search, requiring investigators to cross-reference each account with digital records, time maps, and potential witnesses. The biggest problem is that Mount Airy Forest has no surveillance camera system, and there are no nearby homes or businesses to provide video footage. This makes it impossible for authorities to determine exactly who accompanied Lanier to the area, or by what means. Cell phone signals also do not provide clear GPS data due to the dense forest terrain. At the time of the incident, no one reported hearing strange noises or any other signs of attention. Investigators began to consider various possibilities. One theory was that the victim may have arranged to meet an acquaintance, perhaps an old friend, a former date, or a new acquaintance. It was unusual for her to leave the house without telling anyone and leave her young daughter behind, for someone as responsible as she was. This theory opened up the possibility that Lanier had trusted the person she met that night. There was also speculation in the local community about private relationships that she may not have shared with her family. Some friends said she had been chatting with a few men in the music community, but had never publicly dated anyone seriously. However, no one had any solid information about whether there was a special someone in late 2024. Another line of investigation was competition in the artistic environment. Despite being an amateur artist, Lanier had a significant following on social media, especially after she started posting her own rap videos with a very unique style. That may have unintentionally made some people feel jealous or pressured. However, it all stopped at the level of speculation, and there was no specific evidence to show that she had a conflict with anyone serious enough to lead to the incident. The most notable theory was a theory that the police kept quiet for many weeks. Could this be the action of someone Lanier trusted, even close to? Someone who had been present in her daily life, knew her habits, her schedule, and knew how to arrange a meeting without raising suspicion. However, the investigation gradually fell into a difficult situation. There were no direct witnesses, no cameras, no signs of forced entry, struggle, or missing property. All the facts only led to possibilities, not clear evidence. Everyone called in for questioning cooperated, but no one was held back for further investigation. Every lead brought to a dead end. As time passed, the early winter days gave way to the spring of 2025, but the investigation continued to progress as hoped. Those hoping for answers quickly began to tire. Lanier's family continued to cooperate, providing information whenever requested. But in their hearts, a growing worry grew. Was the truth slowly being buried with time? By August 2025, nearly 8 months after the incident, no one had been arrested. No suspects had been announced, and no new information from the police had been shared with the press. The case was still listed as an open investigation, but in reality, everything had virtually stopped. The big questions about motives, relationships, and the truth behind one winter night remain unanswered. As December 8, 2024 dawned, life in a small Cincinnati family changed forever. Lania Dawson's 1-year-old daughter began calling Mommy, Mommy, unconsciously, as if waiting for a familiar hand to appear at the door. That call in the cold winter morning not only echoed in the small house in Evanston, but also echoed in the hearts of everyone close to the family, like a reminder of a love that had been cut short. That home is now just a silent space, where the young mother's silent presence makes every corner of the house seem larger and colder. Relatives, instead of being assured of a warm home, now have to play the role of two people to both take care of the child and protect the memory of Lania. Every step, every innocent laugh of the baby now evokes heartache, because behind her there is no longer a mother to hold hands. Not only did the family suffer the loss, but the entire community was also in a state of shock and disconnection. On the night of December 8, in the parking lot of Walnut Hills High School, neighbors, friends, and acquaintances lit candles in memory of Lania. White candles were arranged in sparkling letters, spelling out her name like a silent song in the middle of winter. In the sky, balloons gently floated, carrying an unspeakable grief. Not stopping in the real world, the online community also spread that pain. On the website Gun Memorial.org, more than 600 virtual candles were lit to remember Lania Dawson, a real person, living a real life and leaving too soon. Each candle was a sharing, a sadness, a wordless sympathy. They did not know her, but they all mourned for a young girl who had lost her mother. In the following month, the family continued to maintain all daily activities, but the pain in their hearts could not fade. Birthdays, small parties, seemingly ordinary moments suddenly became heavy. But relatives still sang, still told stories about Lania, preserving each beautiful memory as the way she held her little girl's hand and taught her to take her first steps. Lania Dawson is no longer here, but the love she sowed lives on. A little girl's heart still calls out, Mommy. The community still bows in memory, and candles, real or imaginary, still burn. In a society that seems to be constantly on the move, there are stories that quietly fade into oblivion, like the cry of a motherless child, like a case that goes unmentioned weeks after it hits the news. But that silence is the reason tragedies like Lania Dawson's continue to happen. We can't let that happen again. A young mother lost just as she was starting to build a life for herself and her daughter. A family waiting day after day, not out of hatred, but out of need for an explanation. If you heard anything said on the night of December 7, 2024, if you know anything about Mount Airy Forest in the middle of the night, no matter how small the information, please don't keep it to yourself. Telephone receiver call Cincinnati Police at 513-352-3542 or anonymously through Crime Stoppers 513-352-3040. Your actions could bring answers for a child and justice for the mother he will never be able to hold again.